All right. Good morning, good evening, good night, and welcome to another episode of Day and Night Cricket, where we literally talk cricket day and night. I am joined today by Kurt, the facts guru. You
Good night, good night, good night.
And it will just be the two of us today, well, tonight, this evening in Barbados time, discussing a little bit of West Indies cricket as usual. So we're gonna have a look at the recently concluded T20 series against South Africa. We're gonna have a look at the ongoing T20 series against Australia, and a bit of a look at the 50 over series to come against the Aussies here in the Caribbean. In between there, we'll also talk a bit about team selection, a bit about the teams, and where we see this going. But before we jump into it, I'm gonna just hand over to Kurt here to give a little introduction, say hi, and then we get cracking.
Yeah, man, good night. Here at Day Night Cricket, we talk cricket day and night. We haven't had a show for a little while, so we have a lot to speak about, a lot of topics to talk about. As Kwayne mentioned, we have to speak about the previous series before we come down the road and speak about the current ongoing series against Australia. And we're absolutely ecstatic that the results are going in our favor currently, and we hope that that continues, But before we touch on that, we'll go back to a less happy time when we when we had to go up against I suppose, again, I can say the mighty South Africa, the mighty bowling attack against South Africa, and how we performed against South Africa. Kwayne, what would you say about, in summary, about the performance that we had against the South African team?
In my opinion, I think it was a bit disappointing. To just win one game was a bit disappointing in that T20 format, the format that's supposed to be ours.
Well, we actually had two games over that one. We lost the series 3-2.
Oh, it was 3-2. We win the second one? Oh there.
Yeah, man.
let me not take it away from the guys. But yeah, it was a little bit disappointing for me. All in all, the series was a little bit disappointing. I thought that there were a lot of recurrent mistakes in that series. Even if you look at the scores of 160, 166, 167, 167, and 168, all being the winning totals in the series.
Talk about power score.
Exactly. If you just look at it from that aspect, then that we probably were a little bit disappointing. We can start on the first T20.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it came together for how West Indies played their T20 cricket. I think we had some 80% of our 161 runs in that game in boundaries. And
typical, right?
Yeah, it's how we play cricket, man, and I think that is the problem. We had, as I said, 80% in boundaries, and for me, it's hard to see how you win, let's say, 80% of your games if you're looking to score 80% of the runs in boundaries each time.
Well, that's pretty interesting, Kwayne.
Yeah.
That has been our formula for, I suppose, from the initial concept of T20, leading up until now. So what necessarily has changed that you think that we must also change our game?
I don't think much has changed. I think that we always needed to change our game to be more consistent, especially in international T20s.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes what kind of fools, I guess I could say the public, what kind of fools us, the fans and stuff sometimes is the names. When we look at the lineup and we see Evan Lewis, Lendl Simmons, Fletcher, Gayle,
Big
Pooran,
boys.
Hetmeyer, Russell, Pollard. You know, yeah, as you say, big boys. These boys that make millions every year in the lucrative T20 leagues around the world. But the thing for me is that they make millions, maybe almost all of them, to play the same role, and that is to be a finisher for whichever side they're selected for.
That's a
So
pretty interesting comment there. Very interesting
yeah,
comment.
yeah, man. I think that that's what's partly robbing us, because when they come back to internationals, we end up with a team of finishers. There's not that man in the middle to bat around, and yeah, I think that's how it goes. But I guess that's a topic we'll get into a little bit later.
Yes.
Yeah. So how the second T20 go for you?
Well, that one was a little disappointing because after starting so well in the first T20, because we were able to win the first T20 in quite convincing fashion. But then in the second T20, again, per score 166, you would have thought that we would have been able to knock that off. Unfortunately, after a decent start from Lewis and Fletcher, where we were 31 without loss in 3.2 overs, we were unable to consolidate. We lost Gayle quickly, Pooran quickly, Pollard quickly, Russell quickly. And then, we had a bit of hope from Jason and Fabian Allen, but unfortunately, we were unable to get across the line. So it was a little unfortunate that we were unable to, the point that you made earlier about finishers, and it's ironic that we were unable to finish in this game with all of those names there. And I suppose, my criticism would be that, we don't have to always play the big bashing game. We could get home chasing 166 before having to play that style. But unfortunately, we weren't able to do it on that particular game. Credit to the South African bowlers. They do have a good bowling attack with Shamsi and George Linde. He caused a lot of problems throughout the series, but it was a little disappointing, and I guess that reversed the energy of the series at that point in time.
Yeah, man. I agree, and I think that, as you said, I think it just goes back to that aspect that we've found ourselves in a position where we need to score boundaries to win games.
Yeah.
And it won't always work. It won't always work that way. And I think sometimes the problem is that our finishers get in a bit too early, but that's a risky statement because, from 3 down, you pretty much got them. So, it's hard for one of those finishers not to be able to get in early. But I don't know, the series then, as you said, credit to South Africa, of course. They have as we saw in the test matches, they have a very good seam attack. And as you said, just now when you add the spinners Shamsi and Lindy to that lineup, it definitely gives them a more potent attack in T20 cricket, I believe. I think Shamsi is the #1 bowler in the world.
Yeah, and it was clear to see why. The man is absolute quality. But one thing that you mentioned there that I found quite interesting, whereas a lot of teams are having specialist bowlers for formats, I realized that South Africa used their specialist fast bowlers throughout the test and throughout the T20s, being Lange and Gidi, who I thought was fortunate to play all the games. Kangisa Rabada and Northier, well, he got injured, so I'm not sure if he actually finished the series. He probably only missed 1 game because of the injury. But I thought it was interesting that they were able to adapt and play the different roles and largely carry out their jobs quite effectively.
Yeah, man, I think that's a sign of good quality.
True.
When you can adapt your game and your skills to different formats, I think that's a sign of good quality, which is another thing that I will probably touch on later when we talk about about the West Indies and their squad and team selections and possible combinations and what's not. But I think again is credit to the South Africans. If you are capable of playing all three formats and doing it pretty well, I mean, it's a sign of your quality as a player, batting or bowling.
It's true.
Yeah, man.
So then we went on to the third ODI.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was absolutely heartbreaking. Unfortunately, we lost by 1 run. Again, 167 was the score, and we got to 166 for 7. What were your thoughts on this particular one?
Again, I just think we just needed that guy, anyone to just bat. Just bat. That's all we needed. And I guess it showed in that game. I think Gayle was out for that game, and I think Jason batted at number 3.
Yeah.
And I was happy to see him up the order. I don't know if I was happy to see him at 3, but I think his game, the way that Jason plays, is a little bit more suited to what West Indies require, a little higher up than lower down.
Right.
So I wasn't disappointed to see him up the order. I was disappointed in the way he got out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you send Jason at 3 as a pinch hitter. I think you send him there to be that man, to bat around, similarly to what they tried against Australia last night with Dwayne Bravo. But that was just the disappointing thing about it for me. But again, I think that game just cried out for one person, one guy to say, all right, I am going to see it deep and bring it home for the team. And that's what was missing for us in that game, I think. Heartbreaking, as you said.
Yeah, man. Especially after the exploits of Obed McCoy, who, I mean, you told me a few years ago about the talents of Obed McCoy, and I obviously didn't recognize it at the time. But this young man has been a revelation. But I guess we will elaborate a little bit more about that later on.
Yeah, man. Obed has been good, especially since coming back into the side. I'm definitely happy to see that some of his work has been paying off and what's not. Very talented guy, but as you said, we'll touch on him a little bit more in depth.
Yeah,
later down. So that took us now to the 4th T20, which we won by 21 runs.
Yeah, man.
That was the one that I forgot about, actually.
You cannot forget about our victories.
Yeah, but you're right. But I think what happened there too, if I stick a pin here, is that we batted first. And
we did.
For this series, it seemed like the trend was to insert the opposition and chase it down. But it only really worked once, and that was in the first game.
It's true.
That was in the first game. So maybe there was something to batting first. And I don't know. Personally, I think that West Indies batting first in T20 cricket isn't a bad thing. I'll tell you why. Because that same problem that we have, where in the middle overs, we don't have that guy that consistently can come in and rotate, strike, and pick off the boundaries when necessary. Keep things ticking over instead of facing or soaking up a lot of dot balls. If you bat first with West Indies, to me, what they can come and defend.
Right.
If you get 140, 160, you can come defend it. And there's always the back end to catch up for West Indies. As you said, it's how we play. There's always that back end where we can catch up.
So are you saying then, Kwayne, that you identify our bowling as our strongest suit?
In recent times, yes. In
Mhm.
recent times, yes. The way that we've played in recent times, yes. But I don't think it has so much to do with bowling being our strongest suit as it does with the situation and the match. Because I think if you
Right.
bat last and you chasing 160, and you look up at the board after 10 overs and you are stuck already facing a large portion of dot balls there. I think it tends to send a little bit of panic through the camp, and then you rely on Russell and Pollard for what
Right.
then would become a miracle, as opposed to them coming in probably what would be the same scenario and setting that 160. Is a little bit less pressure on them and on the team. So I don't know, but the way West Indies have played T20 cricket of late, I think that they've definitely been bowling a lot better than they've been batting.
Yeah.
But
I,
yeah,
in fact, I agree with you.
yeah.
I agree with you holistically because I think with the emergence of the aforementioned McCoy, Bravo, and the experience that he has passed on to some of our other bowlers, the improvement of Fabian Allen, etc. I do think that we have the ability to defend decent scores.
Mhm.
And as you said, the pressure on the batsman is less to set a score than to chase. Well, in this particular game, I think it was more of the usual because we went down to 89 for 5. We had a terrible start. Luckily, Simmons was able to stick in for a while, and then Pollard was able to, as you said, pull off a miracle and hit 51 for 25 at the back end, which raised us to 167. And then we were able to thankfully restrict South Africa. Quinton de Kock, though, I mean, this man has been unbelievable. But once we got him out, we knew that we had a chance.
Yeah, definitely. The Cup been fantastic the entire series for South Africa, tests included.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, quality player, guy can play test cricket, can play ODI cricket, can play T20 cricket, multi-format player. A very good guy. Very good cricketer. But yeah, as you said there, South Africa just falling short there. I think their batting really didn't hold up very well in that game at all. I think South Africa would have been glad for one of our finishers.
You're right. Absolutely.
That seemed to trouble them the entire series. That inability to kind of close it out, even
for
when
years,
setting the targets.
True. For years, they've identified David Miller as a finisher, and I'm not really sure that David Miller has met the expectations that have been given to him. But I suppose they will persist with him until the World Cup.
Well, yeah, I think right now for most of these sides is all about identifying some rules and responsibilities going into the World Cup. Yeah. So, unless there's some sort of miracle within the next couple of months and South Africa unearth a big hard-hitting talent.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I think that will probably be their plan.
The second coming of Lance Klusener.
Yeah, maybe it might benefit them to try batting the Cup in that middle order and see if he can cement it. But it'll be hard to move him from the opening spot where he's so productive. So
yeah, that would be difficult because he's done that for years in white ball cricket.
Yeah, it'll be difficult to do that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then the final T20.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Again, well, this is the situation where now South Africa won the toss and elected to bat. And they asked us to chase again around the power of 168. Markram was phenomenal for them. He actually came to the party and assisted Quentin Cock, and they were able to put on a partnership of 128 after being 0 for 1.
Yep.
Later a foundation. I mean, the West Indies, I think, did well to restrict them after to 168. But his innings, along with the Cock, that was a seriously good innings for them to set them up.
Indeed. I have a lot of time for Aidan Markram. I think he's a very talented cricketer, and again, a player who I think can play all formats. He showed his versatility here in this T20 game with 70 or 48. So, it was a good batting performance by South Africa. As you said, they struggled a little bit in the end, as has been their struggle for the whole tour.
True that.
Yeah, they've struggled when chasing to finish off, and even when setting the target, they've struggled after that initial partnership. If you look after Aidan Markram, there's David Miller with 18 off 16. Van der Dussen lasted 2 balls for 1. And I think the last man was Wian Mulder, who just faced the 9 deliveries for his 9 not out. But, they're still searching for that finisher. West Indies, however, in response, again, it hinged on Evan Lewis at the top, who had been very good in that series. We didn't get anything from Lendl in that game. Gayle struggled the entire series.
Yeah.
Hetmeyer gave you Hetmeyer 30 in there, but
run about 30.
Yep. Pollard, Russell, Puran. I don't know, man. I still think that we leave it too much to our big hitters. And I thought that something I found pretty interesting in that game. I'm not knocking him or anything, because it's how the game goes. It could have been anybody, but I thought it was a very risky move to hand Akil Hussain a debut in the decider. You're
right.
Have Sinclair having played all the other games, I don't know, man. I thought it was a bit of a risk. Maybe they wanted the left arm option. Not sure.
Replacement.
Yeah, maybe they
for
Fabian Allen. Yeah, who injured his shoulder. Maybe they wanted the left armor. But man, I thought it was a little risky. It didn't pay off. I mean, on another day, he might have bowled 4 overs, 3 for 12. I would have been saying genius move.
True that.
That was a little risky, but see how it goes. See how it goes for Young Hussain as well. But as I said, the batting performance from West Indies in this last T20 against South Africa, the batting didn't really show up again. It was Evan Lewis and, not much else.
Hetmeyer to a lesser extent.
Yes, right.
Puran, I guess he was fighting at the end. He got to 20. I think he was second last man out on 140. I am a Puran fan, so I always thought we had hope once he was there, but unfortunately he's been in a bit of a rut recently since IPL.
Yeah.
But backing him to come over that and play a key role for the West Indies going forward.
Yeah, man. I think too, in that game, I think we got our batting order wrong again. Maybe it was for the sake of a left-hand, right-hand combination. I don't know. But I think if you swap Pollard and Puran there, there's a much a much better chance, I feel, at the back end for Pollard to capitalize than there is for Purad. Because I think Pollard came in at 5 in that game.
He came in the 10th over.
Right. In the 10th over at number 5. And then Purad came at 7, which was not that long after because Russell only lasted 1 delivery. But I don't know, maybe the rules that West Indies have identified for their players are a bit different than how we see it. Having no inside knowledge, of course, this is all just speculation. But I would have thought that, you wanted Purad to be that guy that goes in there with balls to face, get in, work it around, pick off the bad deliveries. As you said, he had been struggling though, so maybe it was a move from the captain to take a little pressure off the outswing Purad. Not sure, or maybe it was just the right hand left hand combination that they want to break up Evan Lewis, Chris Gayle, Hetmeyer, and Purad all being left-handed.
Yeah. And I also have 2 other things to offer there, 2 other points. Whereas, we mentioned about these guys, the big hitters, having one specific role throughout most of their careers. But I also do believe that some of these guys can adapt their games. And I've always been saying recently that I believe Pollard should be experienced enough. I know that he has earned his money. He's pretty much earned his keep throughout the career as a big hitter. But I don't see why Pollard cannot adapt his game to, just battle a few overs, set his eyes, and then beat. I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it on a few occasions with positive success. And I don't see why, he cannot take the opportunity to do that, to be honest. It's something I call the Ricardo Powell syndrome. Ricardo Powell came into the West Indies team. He was very, very successful at what he did. He batted the same way. As you were saying, he did the people ball.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Powell was behind 7 and all kind of, being held back until the last couple of overs to go and beat it, which I thought, robbed him of crucial development.
Mm-hmm.
And, so much so that when he went and played, I would never forget, when he went and played Test cricket for the West Indies, he played 1 game, top scored with 30. Yes, it was perhaps a reckless 30, but he top scored in the first innings and then was promptly dropped for Darren Ganga up in New Zealand. I don't necessarily like to pigeonhole these players and say, well, look, you could only do one thing. Yes, we could look at some players and say, they will be better at doing X rather than Y, but I do believe that, Pollard especially should be a little bit more adaptable. I believe he has that ability in him. And the second point I wanted to offer there was, you mentioned getting the right-hander, which I think was very much a part of it. But I also believe that Pollard wanted perhaps to bat with Hetmeyer. There are a lot of times when you hear Hetmeyer speak, he speaks to Pollard always being on his case, trying to get the best out of him, and I think that Hetmeyer batting with Pollard was probably something that Pollard said, what, I'm going back with this young man and try and see if we can perhaps shepherd him into, playing a crucial innings for the West Indies.
Fair point. I hadn't thought of the last one, to be honest. I hadn't thought of the last one, but it's a possibility because it doesn't sound anything unlike what Kevin Pollard would do or say.
Yeah.
So and maybe it helped because Hetmeyer did get a 30 in that game, and a rather sedate 30, 33 or 31. Sedate
True.
by T20 and Hetmeyer standards. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point. Pollard probably at this stage has enough experience to be able to adapt his game. That much I agree with. I still don't know if I agree that he can. I don't know. I don't know.
The evidence is not really very, very strong.
Yeah, that's the problem for me. And I think Pollard still has a few issues with good quality fast bowling, and I don't mean medium pacers. I mean guys that can clock more 40 plus, like Norkia and Rabada. And it then puts a little bit of pressure on him to target another bowler, which I think with a lot of overs to bat, you know, kind of plays into the hand of the bowling side. Because you're asking him to take a risk early up, and if you lose him there, it may be curtains. You know, if he comes off, he may do something spectacular. But
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as you said, I definitely agree that at this stage he is experienced enough to be able to do it though. So maybe it's something that West Indies can look at from a Pollard perspective.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So we leave that particular series now, and we are heading into, I suppose, happier days. Facing South Africa, and I know a lot of people are going to be talking about South Africa not being, Australia.
Australia, yeah.
I know that a lot of people will be speaking about Australia not being at full strength. I know you can hear all the narrative. But at the end of the day, we can only play against who is presented against us.
Agreed.
What are your thoughts about our performances thus far? I have a lot of thoughts about these first two games, albeit a small sample size. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. In these first two games, I thought first off I have to give credit to West Indies. It's easy and it always seems like the easier thing to do to bash them.
Yeah, man.
But I definitely have to give credit to the West Indies for how they've played so far in this T20 series against the Aussies.
For sure.
Yeah, that first T20. Let's see if I can get the scores for that one.
All right, so in the first T20, Australia won the toss. They elected to field first. They inserted the West Indies, who I'm sure would have been more than happy to field as well. We had the West Indies really fighting to put a power score on the board. We managed to get to 145 for 6 after being in a serious spot about it. After 7.3 overs, when we lost Lendl Simmons, we were 35 for 3. I'm really struggling to get the ball away against an absolutely excellent Josh Hazelwood.
Yep.
What a spell.
Yep. Excellent spell from Hazelwood. My only thing about West Indies playing Hazelwood, the way that they played him, he bowled a fantastic spell. Extracted a lot of bounce, a lot of seam movement, bowled really well. My thing is that if a guy is the spell like that, fine, you know, let him have the spell. But if he's going to bowl 3 overs for 3 runs, he cannot bowl 3 overs for 3 runs and get 2 wickets. Yeah, exactly. That is it for me. You know, and the manner of the dismissals that Hazelwood got, you know, he bowled well, but he didn't get those wickets with beauties, you know. There were 2, I call them bad shots from 2 of your more experienced players. Almost identical dismissals with Evan Lewis and Chris Gayle. And I that was the disappointing part for me with that one so far with Hazelwood. But he did bowl an extremely brilliant spell. You probably won't see much better. The only thing coming to mind is Mohammed Irfan at Kensington in the CPL. But,
yeah, boy. You were in attendance for that one live?
I was there live and direct.
What a spell, boy.
Yeah, man. It was brilliant. But I don't think at international level you get a much better opening spell at least. It was
Agreed.
very good from Hazelwood.
Agreed.
Yeah, as you said, it left West Indies reeling a bit. Russell with the heroics on this occasion.
He was behind on a different wicket.
Yeah, evidently. Evidently. Well, I mean, to be fair, Hazelwood did get him with the one over he had left. He only had 6 balls, and in one of those 6 balls, he got the wicket of Russell as well.
That is true.
So maybe it was just the bowler and not the wicket.
Perhaps.
But it was a very good innings and a much needed innings from Russell to propel West Indies to something that they stood a chance defending.
And that's an interesting point. I think that they grafted hard to get to a respectable total. Even if you look at the scorecard, you see Russell 51, 28 deliveries, 5 sixes, 3 fours. But Russell did not come out and start swashbuckling from ball one. I thought that he took his time in T20 standards, of course. He got his eye in, and then he did what Russell does. Hetty, to me, played an excellent role as well. 20 for 25. Yeah, you look at that statistically, and it would not stand out, but fantastic of him to try to graft us and get some singles to get Russell on straight and whatnot to get us to a good score.
Yeah, man. I thought Hetmeyer and Puran batted well in the context of the scenario they were facing in that match.
Agreed.
I thought the two of them did what we were just speaking about that didn't happen in the South Africa series.
Yeah,
and they looked to hang in a bit, as you said, 20 of 25 and 17 of 16. In the context of things, if you just look at it, then you say, well, another average innings. But in the context of this game, those were two very important innings, as you rightfully mentioned. And then that allowed Russell to spend some time. I mean, my only criticism of Russell in this, and I don't think it's a criticism because it's Russell, it's how he plays. Those 5 sixes that he hit, those gave him 30 runs. And the 3 fours gave him 12. Right? So he's got 42 from 8 balls.
Yeah, so
right?
Then he was able to make 9 from 20.
From the other 20, right? And that's my thing. If I'm being harsh, on Russell, that's the only thing that I will say.
Agreed.
If he can find a way to get at least another 10 out of those 20 balls, it gives West Indies 155 in that sense now, as opposed to 145. But yeah, it gives you a higher score, and it allows rotation of the strike, and you don't really just have to depend on that big hitting at the back end, which can be risky sometimes. But it is what Russell is known for.
That's a fantastic point.
Yeah, man. In reply to this to this score of 145, I will be very honest with you. I thought that Australia were going to win this game at a canter.
Especially from that start.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't I wasn't at all thinking that game would have unfolded how it did. Wade got off the flyer, 33 from 14. Mitchell Marsh, 51 from 31. I thought, well, by over number 15, yeah, boy, game done, curtains, early night, But West Indies had different plans, or should I say Australia had different plans.
Clearly. But I mean, what a collapse, and similarly, what a fight. That show of fight. The energy that the West Indies showed on the field was fantastic to watch. And they got to the point that I was saying, if the West Indies lose, I could deal with it, because they showed a lot of fight in this particular game. Puran was talking. The gut, you're always hearing a voice. The guys were talking, the guys were visibly planning and communicating with one another. We had the senior players, you could see the senior players really helping out and assisting Puran all the way through. I thought that Bravo played a really big role in helping Puran from a vantage point, obviously from television, in assisting Puran with planning and speaking to the bowlers and whatnot.
Yeah, man, definitely. I thought that that Puran marshaled the troops well in his captaincy debut. I thought that as you said, the bowlers especially showed a lot of fight, and I saw a little snippet of Puran giving a talk afterwards, and he was commending some of the guys and
yes,
commending the team on a whole for the character they showed, and I think that was important because big partnership, smallish target in the realm of T20s nowadays. Shoulders could have dropped when the guys got off the flare, but that didn't happen. They kept at the task and stuck to the task, and I mean they got the rewards. They got the rewards.
Yeah.
He commended Fidel in that small snippet as well. And Fidel may not have gotten the wickets, but as Puran said there, I thought that Fidel did what the team needed. That was bring the energy, keep everybody buzzing, bring the energy, bowl fast, It didn't necessarily go his way. His first one was very expensive, but the energy that he brought kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. And I think that was important as well.
That's all you could ask, really.
Yeah.
That's all you could ask.
Indeed.
And I think the West Indies also would have known through planning before that after you get past, let's say, the first three batsmen, there is a lot of inexperience, international inexperience with the rest of the battle in it from the Australians.
Definitely.
Looking at Josh Philippe, New, Enriques, in and out, McDermott, newish,
yeah.
Dan Christian.
Yeah, I mean,
experience on the circuit, but
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, these guys haven't really been prolific outside of Australians, Big Bash, and what's not in T20s. Felipe, as they call him, I don't know which version he prefers. But I'll just go with Josh. Josh had a stint there in the IPL as well. I think he's one to watch because he can be very destructive. But the others, even when selected in IPL, haven't really shown, with any great degree of what was the word like for inspiration? Watching them, it doesn't tell me, yeah, these guys are on top of their games,
Yes.
So, but again, Australia is always Australia. They are not going to take 2 defeats.
It's true.
Lying down, sitting down, or even just standing up. They're gonna try to bounce back fast. They suffered a bad collapse in this first T20 after that brilliant partnership between Wade and what's his name?
Wade and Mitchell Marsh.
Mitchell Marsh. Yeah, they were 1 for 8, 46 for 2, 53 for 3, 89 for 4, 108 for 5, and from there, it just seemed to all go pear-shaped for the Aussies.
We knew we had a chance at that point.
Yeah, 117 for 6, 122 for 7. I think they lost their last 6 or 5 wickets for 19 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, big credit to Obed McCoy. I mean, again,
Indeed.
fantastic bowler. The man was landing these back of the iron slower balls. A very difficult skill, but he was landing these with absolute pinpoint. The precision of a sniper.
Indeed,
He was
indeed.
excellent and ably supported by a returning Hayden Walsh, who I thought was excellent on the day as well.
Indeed, indeed.
I thought Alan played a big role, as he usually does. And I mean, all in all, the guys were fantastic in that fight back. The ground feeling, everything, fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. They looked like a good unit on that occasion. They looked like a team. It didn't look like superstars on paper. They
Correct.
put a real team effort in there, and Obed, as you said, was just fantastic, reminded me of myself in my prime and what's not.
They know you were a left arm seamer, sir.
In another life. But yeah, Obed was fantastic. And he has been, most importantly, he has been consistent. So we saw that right through, right through the South Africa series into this series now. He has been consistent, and he has been consistently taking wickets, and that's also been important for West Indies. Hayden,
and restrictive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like having two Bravos with the slower balls and what's not. It's hard to read. As you said, the back of the arm slower ball isn't easy to pick either, because nothing really changes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. Again, very good to see that McCoy is coming into his own and cementing that spot in the West Indies side. Hayden, who hasn't played a lot of cricket in recent times, the COVID issue we had in Bangladesh, so he didn't play there and didn't play much when he came back. I don't think he played against Sri Lanka. I can't remember.
No.
Yeah, didn't feature against Sri Lanka. Didn't feature against South Africa, I don't think. No. And yeah, he comes back here in the first T20 and grabs 3. 3 for 23 from 4, and that's good for your wrist spinner.
His control was pretty good as well in this game.
Yep. That's very good for your wrist spinner. I just love to see Hayden being more consistent, so stringing more of these types of performances together. I mean, I know every game you won't get the wickets. That's cricket, but to see him consistently landing the balls in the right area, I mean, it's T20. A good ball will go to park at some point, but what I personally am looking for from guys like Hayden is that consistency, consistently, string those performances and those good overs together.
Yeah, man.
All in all, great performance from the West Indies. They deserve the win. Bad batting from the Aussies contributed to it, but it was definitely not an unforced error, if I could put it that way. There was definitely a lot of pressure applied by West Indies, and they did deserve that win.
And speaking of deserving the win, then we went on to Puran. He asked for a more comprehensive win in the second T20, and we were able to pull that off as well. This time we were able to put more runs on the scoreboard. We had Simmons again contributing with 30. I would love for one of these openers to really just go on and post a big score. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, indeed.
But he did play his role. Again, Gayle struggled. And Hetmer, he played a fantastic hand. He did what everyone would have been asking from him. He really, to me, batted exceptionally well. I know when you see 61 for 36, you may be thinking a swashbuckling innings, but Hetmer batted well for that 61.
I agree. I definitely agree. And at a point when he had faced about either 9, 10 deliveries or so, he scored off each one. And that
Yeah,
was impressive to me. And I don't think he had a boundary at that point.
he did
Um,
not. He was
yeah,
nudging the ball around.
yeah, he was doing what we wanted and what West Indies, I think, need in this T20 lineup. And
Hmm.
if we can have more of those innings from Hetmeyer, and I also have to mention Dwayne Bravo here, who played extremely well as well. If we can get more of those sort of innings, we'll score more target, more. We'll put more scores on the board like what we did around that
Yep,
190 range, and with our bowling attack. I mean, I can safely say about 7 times out of 10 we'll probably defend it.
you're
But
right.
yeah, but it was very good from Hetmeyer, propelling West Indies up to 196, giving Russell the platform to do what Russell does. And yes, that 24 off 8, I don't mind that at all. That's his 8 balls. Just come in and smoke them out the park. 2 4s, 2 6s. I good finishing from Russell. That's what we will almost never have a problem in that aspect if
You're
we
right.
give our guys a platform.
You're
And
right.
yeah, man, that propelled us up to 196. Good partnership as well between Hetmeyer and Bravo, a new record for the West Indies. Um,
Yes, yes.
as I try to match the stats guru and those guys, but a new partnership,
Yeah,
100
man.
over 100 rand partnership, new record, eclipsing the 67 odd, I think, between Gayle and Puran and Pollard. Sorry, Gayle and
And
Pollard
Pollard.
prior.
Yeah, they
Uh,
were able to put on 103 in quick time.
yeah,
And I must admit that I was a little annoyed when Hetmeyer was run out because I thought that Bravo could have sacrificed himself there um, at that stage because I thought that
yeah,
Hetmeyer was the more fluent of the two and obviously more well set.
yeah. I agree.
But having said all of that, they both played exceptionally well. And it would have been a surprise to see Bravo straight out at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I was exceedingly happy when I saw Bravo coming out because, we would have spoken privately with the guys and I would have mentioned that Bravo does have the ability to be one of the players to fulfill the role of knocking it around, picking up the ones and twos. And I felt as though he struggled at the start. Obviously, he had to get his bearings, having not done this for a while. But I also thought as though, the right hand combination, fantastic. But then the experience that he provided with Hetmeyer.
Mm-hmm.
Hetmeyer mentioned that, it was fun to bat with Bravo. And you could see it. They communicated a lot while they were batting. And Hetmeyer and Bravo are both quick between the wickets. And they ran exceptionally well, turning a lot of ones into twos. Which is, I think, unfortunately for Gayle, at that number 3 position, we might necessarily have to look at placing somebody else at that position at this point in time. But I guess that's something we would elaborate on a little later.
Mm-hmm.
But Bravo was able to shepherd Hetmeyer. And, Bravo did say that he was trying to get himself out at one point so he could get Russell in. And it turned out that Hetmeyer was the one to go and Russell came in and gave the pyrotechnics.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that run out was a little disappointing, especially since Bravo could have seen the play. He saw that Hetmeyer was down,
Yeah.
well, on one knee. I think he saw him glance back as well. So,
Yes.
I mean, at that point, he could have either turned around and headed back or said, you stay there, don't pass me,
Yeah, he had the options in front of him.
Yeah, but I mean, that's being trivial at this point. It
True.
worked out.
All's well that ends well.
Exactly, it worked out. The bowling from the Aussies, I am probably one of Mitchell Stark's top 3 biggest fans. So I was very disappointed, very, very disappointed. I'm very happy that West Indies won, of course,
Yes.
but I was very disappointed with the two games from start so far.
He's been really missing his legs.
Yeah, terribly, terribly. It's almost as if either he's short of work in relation to the T20 game, or he's got it wrong. One and two. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Start bowl well. I mean, if Start bowling well will cost West Indies the game, then by all means keep missing your leg.
For sure.
But you know, as a fan of Stark, big fan of Stark as well. Probably my favorite fast bowler still playing the game.
What?
Yeah, man. I was disappointed. He bowled his 4 for 49 on the back of bowling 4 for 40 the other night as well. Hazelwood, I thought Simmons made a good effort and attempt to knock Hazelwood off his length early.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that that was good. There was good intent there. What I will give Chris Gayle credit for in this game is that in his brief stay, I did see him attempt to rotate the strike. I saw him drop a few of his feet and sprinted to the other end and whatnot. And I give him credit for that. Again, if I'm Stark's top 3 biggest fan, well, I don't think there's a bigger Chris Gayle fan. But
I know, yeah.
But yeah, I thought he did that well. And I think he realized that Lendl was going, and that Lendl had a plan to Hazelwood especially. I mean, I thought they batted well in that little partnership that they had.
I agree.
Yeah, Agar again has been okay, you know, nothing spectacular.
Masbo made the appearance off for 2 sets.
Nothing spectacular. In saying though that Australia brought a weakened team, and the only person missing, and only is extremely relative here with the name that I'm about to mention, but the only bowler that they're missing that will walk into this side is Pat Cummins, and it's a big miss. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Huge miss.
It's a very, very big miss. But I say that to say that for the most part, this is going to be a similar-ish lineup to what we can expect to see from Australia going forward. Bowling lineup. And I don't know if maybe they'll give Meredith or one of the other quicks a run in place of Stark, who has looked short of work, or in place of Dan Christian, because he hasn't really been productive with the bat either.
I'm really sure what Christian is.
Yeah, so far I think he's supposed to be the replacement for Marcus Stoinis, who hasn't come, or the replacement for even a Glenn Maxwell, maybe. I don't know. But in the Stoinis role, he's not doing it with the bat, and I think he's coming in a bit too low to be that kind of Stoinis guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been rough on Christian in and out the side. I mean,
but that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but it is what it is. It's cricket these days. Zampa, I thought didn't do a bad job. It was a little on the expensive side, but most of their bowlers were in that 196 that West Indies set.
Yeah, I mean, Zampa, you know, he always generally does a job for Australia. Usually may pick up a wicket or two, and I thought the West Indies did really well to keep him wicketless. He happened to be bowling, you know, against 2 decent players of spin in Hetmyer and Bravo, which I thought really helped you know, that those were batsmen who could pick him off, get the ones and twos. I actually saw the guys, you know, like really having some sublime placement while nerding the ball around so that they could turn ones into twos, you know, and that helped because, you know, those sort of things also put bowlers off their lengths and off their lines. And then we were able to capitalize on the bad delivery. So, you know, really awesome planning from the West Indies. I see them trying to hit with the wind as well.
Yeah.
You know, the only guy probably that does not have to do that is Russell, because, you know, once he hits it, it stays hit.
Right.
But, you know, in the planning department, I mean, these guys look really well drilled thus far in terms of their roles. And, you know, fortunately, they've been able to execute quite well.
Yeah, I was about to say the good thing about it is that along with that planning, they executed, and that was very good for the West Indies. When Australia hit the crease now to bat, I thought West Indies again were clinical with the ball. They hit the lengths, they hit their lines. They stuck to what they were supposed to do. The energy was there, you know, and it was a much different start this game to the other one. They lost Wade early, 2 balls caught by Russell off Cottrell. Cottrell coming in for McCoy, who I think was rested. I really hope he's not hurt.
They said it was load management.
Right. Well then, fair enough. Although I am pretty sure Obed would have been chomping at the bit to get out there again.
Agreed.
But you know, I guess that's a topic for another time. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of rotation policies. I think if the guy's playing well, play him. But that's a topic for another time. But it was good to see that Cottrell could come in and do what he does. You know,
the early wicket general.
Yeah. You know, good with the first 2 overs.
Yep.
You're looking to pick up 1 or 2 and then cross your fingers. Yeah, if he's one of those guys that if he's in a good spell, I am tempted maybe 8 or 9 times out of 10 to just bowl him 4 up top in the power play. Good night, you know. But he did bowl well. He was unfortunate not to get Finch as well.
He was, yeah.
I think Fletcher
dropped catch.
But no one at point. Yeah, man. But they were good. They were clinical again. Walsh again bowled well.
I you know. I mean,
yeah.
I may have to disagree slightly.
Yeah, he wasn't as consistent in the areas as the previous night, but yeah, I would say he bowled well, but I'd give him that much. I'd say he bowled well.
I think you know Walsh produces wickets. He produces wicket taking deliveries. At times, sometimes you know he is able to get batsmen to make mistakes when they're seeking the power hit as well. I thought that Walsh bowled a number of short deliveries. I do not
very
know.
Much so.
At one point, I was wondering if this was a plan because I was wondering.
I actually thought the same thing. Yeah, I actually thought the same thing. I actually thought they were trying to get them to hit into the wind with the pull.
Into the wind. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that was the plan or if Hayden just got extremely lucky. I don't know.
Because he was going extremely slowly as well.
Yes, exactly. So
maybe I guess we'll have to give him the benefit, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to get full to get hit straight back down the ground. Maybe the plan was to get hit to the wind, to get hit with the wind. Against the wind.
Against the wind, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because those straight boundaries are pretty small.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe the plan for him was to bowl into the wicket and take your chances square the wicket. I don't know. I saw Felipe get out back in the way, trying to hit him through the offside as the right hander, as opposed to hitting against the wind with the boundary riders out there. So maybe it was a plan. Maybe it was. I don't know. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt there. I don't know.
I will be able to tomorrow to cement that in my mind.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. Fidel started well again. Unfortunately, seemed to get injured.
Yeah.
He got
That's a bit
Finch
of a bummer.
with a very nice slower ball. I found it a bit amusing. I'm sure Finch did it, but
Do you that was reminiscent to me, and it brought memories right away to the slower ball that Courtney Walsh gave Graham Thorpe in one of the
yeah,
test matches. Thorpe was ducking
yeah,
and got LBW.
yeah. And I mean, I can understand if there's a weapon that Fidel can add to his arsenal, that Dwayne Bravo dipping slower ball that looks like it's going to take your head off, and then hits you on the toe. Knowing that Fidel bowls 90 miles an hour,
Yeah.
man, when you see that release and it looks as if it's coming head height, chances are most people are going to start taking evasive action.
You're right.
So I don't know if that's something that he can add to his arsenal. I saw him try to bowl it a couple other occasions as well. So, well, in this spell that he bowled last night, I saw him
Yeah, I
try
mean,
to
he
bowl it
doesn't
a
fully
few other
trust his
times.
yet.
Yeah. So we'll see. He also ran straight to Bravo when he got him. So maybe it was something that they've been working on.
Well,
Which is good to see.
actually, Bravo did say that he has been working with Fidel on that. He said that with the action similar to Malinga, that it would be a very deceiving delivery for him to have in his arsenal, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And he said that Fidel was, while he was walking back to the mark, he asked Bravo what ball to bowl, and Bravo said trade. And so executed, delivered the wicket, and perhaps he owed that wicket to obviously his execution, but also to Bravo.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. If that's something that he can add, I think he'll go a long way for him in T20 cricket. Another disappointing batting performance by Australia, with the exception of Mitchell Marsh. Another 50 for him. The others have not quite shown up as yet. And I know it's a bit, second game of the series, and as I said earlier, I'm sure the Aussies won't take it sitting now.
You know this.
Yeah, they'll definitely look to bounce back. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few changes as well for the next T20 game tomorrow night. But yeah, I hope West Indies can stay as clinical as they are. Maybe I'll expect to see a couple changes from West Indies as well. If the captain Pollard is fit, he'll probably come in, and maybe we see O'Shane. I don't know, or maybe Obed comes back in if Fidel can't play. I don't know. We'll see. But let's have a little chat about this West Indies side and the side that they've put out, primarily looking at that number 3 spot. Chris Gayle has been the elephant in the room, really. The question always pops up, and at Chris Gayle's age, it's always going to be 2 ultimatum, one or the other for Chris Gayle. Either he's going to score and he's going to do what Chris Gayle does, and we're going to say, yeah, boy, world boss, got to play him, can't leave him out. Or he's going to not score, and we're going to say, boy, Gayle too old, man.
Yeah.
Can't play cricket no more, he can't see the ball. So, what are your thoughts on the Chris Gayle debacle and this number 3 spot for West Indies?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. We spoke on the Chris Gayle inclusion about 3 shows, if I'm not mistaken, ago. And I think we pretty much agreed that if Gayle was available, then he has to play, and I think, we did the due diligence. We've given Chris Gayle a number of opportunities. He doesn't play a lot of cricket anymore. So whereas, you know, he would be having a lot of cricket, you know, going from here to there to here, you know, unfortunately he doesn't have that. No. So the lack of consistent cricket probably, you know, has him out of rhythm as well. He's clearly not, you know, the Chris Gayle of before insofar as he used to be able to swashbuckle from probably ball six. You know, he's clearly not that player anymore. He has to take a little while. He chooses to take a little while to get himself set. Now, I was skeptical of Gayle at 3 for the West Indies. I don't know why that rule was identified. I was, you know, tongue in cheek saying, but you know, the men saw him do it in the IPL, and therefore they traded for the West Indies. You know, so I am thinking of number 3 as a guy who can come in, stabilize if there's an early loss, pick up some singles, similar to the role that Hetmeyer played at number 4. You know, I would like to see that earlier. Now, this particular game where Evan Lewis did not play probably proves to me that the West Indies are definitely set on playing Gayle at 3 because they had the opportunity to have him go atop the order with Simmons and have a more adaptable, I suppose, a more adaptable Fletcher or even a more adaptable Simmons play the role at number 3, where he could have even alternated with Hetmeyer if they wanted to maintain the left-right partnership. And saying that we've had the left-right partnership opening before, you know, Gayle straightened out to open with Simmons or Fletcher would not have surprised me last night. So, you know, obviously they've identified this role for him, but I am not really sure that it is working. Albeit he could come out tomorrow and score 100, but I am not really sure that it's working. I am more comfortable with Gayle opening with Lewis, to be honest, because Lewis is a boundary hitter, and Gayle could be that boundary hitter, and they could just go ahead from ball 1 or what have you. And then because I do believe that him opening with Simmons may offset Simmons' rhythm. He likes to pick up some singles. I think, you know, if we, you know, any other player that we chose to open with, I think Gayle's style, albeit they run it quick singles a bit more now. I think a lot more of those players prefer to get their rhythm by running a couple singles, whereas Lewis just goes for it. So I think Gayle and Lewis would not be a bad option if we wanted to keep Gayle in the team and go from there. But if it's really going to be number 3 or another number 3, I'm not sure that Gayle will be the man for the job. But I guess time will tell.
Agreed. I was very surprised that he hasn't opened in any of these T20s since he's come back.
Yeah.
Which, as you said, indicates to me that West Indies have identified that they want him at 3, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why they've suddenly decided that Gayle is our number 3 batsman. I mean, yes, he does it in the IPL, but he's surrounded by different players, very, very different players.
Yes.
You know, Rahul is very adaptable. Agarwal is very adaptable. You know, there are other players that come after him that can adapt their game to how he's playing. If he's going, they can rotate. If he's stuck, they can go. I mean, quality players as well, you know, that surround him there. Where he has been productive at 3. But in this West Indies side, I'm not convinced with Gayle at 3. I am much like you. I'm thinking, you know, Gayle opens. You know, if you're going to play him, he opens. If not, again, I don't think that I don't think that if West Indies are planning to take Gayle to the World Cup, it will have to be a call on form and not on ability or what he can do. Because if it's on that, then we already know what Chris Gayle can do. Right. You know, I don't think that Gayle now has to prove that he can play cricket at international level, you know. So for me, it's more of a case now of West Indies saying, well, we need a guy to bat at 3. We don't trust Hetmeyer or Pooran to do it. So we need you to come in and bat there until we can find somebody else that we're comfortable enough to put there. And I really don't think that's the best use of Gayle in this West Indies side. As you said, if he goes up top with Evan, I see that as a much more feasible position for Gayle. In this side at 3, you're asking him to do something that he's never really ever done. You know, which is pick up singles and rotate to keep the other batsman going.
That other batsman is usually him.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. So I don't know. Again, kudos to him for saying, well, you know, I'll take it. But I'm not a huge fan of Gayle coming in at 3 in this West Indies side. Maybe even a sheer hope for me. I think could go there. We have in the past identified Kyle Mayers. He made his debut in white ball cricket T20s for West Indies. Maybe a Kyle Mayers. Maybe if you want to give the confidence to Hetmeyer to go there, Pooran is an option there, and then that allows another batsman to come in lower down the order or whatever the case is. But I don't know. I'm not sold on this number 3 slot. And obviously, if he scores 175 and 42 in the remaining 3, you know, in the remaining 3 T20s against Australia, we come back and we say, well, maybe 3 works.
Yes, true.
But
the evidence is based on what is before you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the series. This is the series to if you're going to experiment, this is the series to do it. So if you're going to experiment with another guy in there, this would be the series to do it. Obviously, that doesn't seem to be the plan, but I'm not sure if it makes sense to bat him here now, and then you drop him for the World Cup. I am not sure. West Indies play Pakistan next. I'm not sure if they play T20s against Pakistan. After that, I'm not sure if they play again until the World Cup. So
I think that's it, you know.
Right. So does it make sense to have Gayle play and bat at 3 for all, fail for all, then you don't select him for the World Cup because you said, well, he's failed at 3 and we want somebody else? So to me, it speaks to one or two things. It either says West Indies have decided that Gayle is going to the World Cup at 3 and we're going to give him all the time he needs to adapt to that position, or you know, it's a case where you give somebody else a shot in the position, because he's had a decent run in terms of T20s, in terms of T20 internationals. I think you can experiment with that position if you move Hetmeyer up to it. Although it's going to be a little difficult to move Hetmeyer from 4 now that he's produced there, and he's seemed to look better coming in at 4 there now. So I don't know. Maybe it says that West Indies have already identified 3 as Gayle's slot, and he's going to go to the World Cup with them at 3. And
that's perhaps it.
And yeah, and they'll give him the time to adjust to that role and position. I don't know, but for his sake, I hope he comes off. For mine as well, because I mean, I shed a tear every time Chris Gayle gets out, especially for a low score. But
You've
yeah,
been shedding a lot of tears recently, then.
yeah, man, it's been a hard watch for the universe's boss's biggest fan. You know, it's been a hard watch, but
I think we really need to. I guess we should be patient. I know that Chris Gayle also offers a lot otherwise.
yeah,
He offers a lot of experience. When he speaks, those guys listen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I know they would love for him to be in that World Cup squad.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're picking Chris Gayle in a squad then not to play him.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's why I'm saying maybe West Indies have decided in their minds and their heads that, because it's not been a case where they've let him open and let someone else bat three and move him to four and somebody else come at three. That's not happening. It seemed to be a fairly cemented spot for him, so maybe they've decided, Chris, you're the man we want here at three, and we're going to the World Cup with you at three. Don't worry about it. Just get yourself in shape and in form. Maybe.
I tell you wanted something there.
Maybe. I don't know. Let's touch quickly on the 50 over squad and the 50 over series that's coming up against Australia. And there were a few I don't know if I should say surprising selections, but Roston is back in. Kyle Mears is out. I don't think there are any other big changes from the last squad. Anderson Phillip is in again.
Retained, yeah. I think the only surprise for me, and I guess if perhaps we should run through that squad pretty quickly. Pollard captain, Hope vice captain, Fabian Allen, Darren Bravo, Chase, Cottrell, Hetmeyer, Jason Holder returning, Aki Hussein, Azari Joseph, I forgot her man, Lewis, Jason Mohammed, Philip Puran, and Romario Shepherd. I think for me, my major surprise really is that Romario Shepherd was retained. But I guess, it's a show of faith. He's been playing cricket recently, and therefore, they stuck by him. But to me, it's surprising that McCoy was not chosen in this squad. And even if McCoy was not chosen, then O'Shane Thomas. That's the real surprise for me.
Yeah, well, my surprise here is the omission of Obed McCoy as well. I don't know. I don't know if I really hope that this isn't the case, but I don't know if he's been already pigeonholed as a as a T20 bowler alone.
That would be odd.
I don't know if he's been pigeonholed only as a T20 bowler. Maybe it has to do with the same load management that you were referring to. I don't know, because we've not seen Alzari, we've not seen Anderson Phillip, we've not seen Romario Shepherd. So maybe is this rotation policy that's going on in terms of managing the workload? Maybe, I don't know. But if that's the case, we haven't seen O'Shane either. So
and that's interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting. I think the squad is okay. I don't know. Sometimes I just struggle to understand West Indies and selection policies and decisions and what's not. I sometimes things just don't make sense to me.
Well,
I don't know.
With the lacking of all the info,
yeah, exactly.
It would seem like a couple of things don't really add up.
Exactly. because I don't know, man. I don't know.
You seem surprised that Mears was not selected. I am not, but you
Yeah,
seem surprised.
I'm a little bit surprised. Especially at the expense, I assume, of Roston.
Or the
You know,
inclusion of Roston.
well, yeah, the inclusion of Roston. I'm assuming that had Mears been selected, it would have been at the expense of Roston, vice versa. I'm assuming. I don't know.
I would debate that it would be at the exclusion of Romario Shepherd.
Yeah,
I don't think that Roston has performed terribly in ODI cricket.
no, and it's not, and that's why I say to me it's a little bit of a struggle to understand, because it's not only performance based that I'm saying this, but if you look at the fact that these are a few guys here, and in this whole squad, there are a few guys here that you've just said, oh well, yeah, you don't need white ball contracts, you don't need
Yeah.
all of a sudden they popped up. Roston,
Yes.
Cottrell, Shepherd, Hetmer, they've all,
CMN.
they've all now popped up. So it's just been a little puzzling for me. But I guess we'll see how it goes. I guess you can. I don't know. Jason Mohammed seems to have cemented a spot in this side.
Let me hear you.
I'm not entirely sold, but
Well, you cannot drop Mohammed after he was a stand-up bowler.
You see, that's my problem. He's a stand-up bowler. That is my problem. But I don't know. I'm not entirely sold, but we'll see how Mohammed goes as well. Hopefully, Barbados allows 2 spectators at the venue, although that's looking increasingly more grim.
Yeah, unfortunate.
With recent developments on the COVID front. But yeah, I'd like to be there to see the game live. But yeah, not a bad squad. I can't complain with the squad, to be honest. I can't complain with the squad. I'm a guy that believes in Shepherd as well. So I will hope that he can prove why he's been selected. He had a bad series against Sri Lanka. So we'll see if he seems to have been identified as a 50 over player as opposed to anything else, as opposed to T20s or anything else. And we'll see how that goes. But
it's a bit of an impact player.
Yeah, exactly.
With the bat, especially in recent times.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Is 15 that they selected or 13?
It will be 15.
Right.
15, yeah.
Okay. We'll see how it goes for the 50 over competition. We touched a little bit earlier before we wrapped up. We touched a little bit earlier on the selections and the rules and everything like that. So I guess it's now down to the players to see if they can execute, if they can raise their hands and say, this is my spot, and I'm taking it. I look forward to seeing Shea Hope in this 50 over setup.
White ball run machine.
Yeah, man. I would have said I'd like to see him up against Start, who moves the ball at the top a lot. But with Start looking very rusty, I don't know. I don't know if
he may be informed by then.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be I don't know if that'll be the matchup that I expect. But all in all, let's see what happens in this 50 over competition. Let's see what happens in the remaining T20s. West Indies really just need to win one more to take a series win. And,
Hopefully that will be tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's not very often that West Indies win series. So we take any series at all.
You are 100% right.
Yeah, one against Australia, all the better.
That's
Hopefully.
a good scout.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Pollard should stay out because that seems to have been
Thought they crossed my mind.
that seems to have been the trick. And now that I say that, I remember Darius Sammy mentioning earlier, before the start of the series, that he thinks that Pollard should take his emotions out of decisions and what's not at certain points in the game. There was an interview that Sammy did where he suggested that Pollard's decision making runs on emotion sometimes, and I wonder if the lack of Pollard and winning, you know, and it's always easy to try and make these conclusions when it happens, you know, try and jump to these conclusions, but yeah, all Pollard fans, I was just joking when I said Pollard should stay out. I was just
do not pelt him, please.
Yeah, understand. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Hopefully they can be as clinical. And if, to be honest, if they perform like they have so far, I can see them winning this series. Would it be 5-0? I would love that. But
absolutely.
I could definitely see them winning another game if they remain as focused and as clinical and as together as they have been so far this T20 series. So your parting shots, Kurt?
Yeah, well, I really would echo what you just said. I'm hoping that they take the clinical aspects to the first two games into the next few games. I am really, really impressed with the professionalism in terms of the delivery and as I said, the execution of that planning. So I'm really hoping that they can take that forward. The identifying of roles has been really spoken about by the players a lot. When you listen to the interviews, they speak a lot about the identification of the roles that they individually have, which is something that I love to hear. Because I'm always up for, you know, players having specific jobs, knowing what was asked of them, so that if they do not execute, then you know, well, okay, I didn't execute. This is something I have to go and work on. This is something that I love to hear.
Yeah, I think that's how a team functions, man. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So take that professional, page, keep that going, and just continue to consolidate and build on the experiences in terms of learning those roles and continue to fire.
Indeed. So hopefully next time we talk to you here on Day Night Cricket, it'll be with some fantastic news that the Windies have as I like to say, blackwashed the
yes, sir.
The Aussies in this T20 series 5-0. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
It's true. One game at a time.
And of course, you can never discount and discredit the Aussies. Even without some of their stronger batsmen, they're always still right there or thereabout. So by no means counting them out. But
definitely,
let's see how it goes, and let's see how the 50 over competition goes as well.
Yes, sir.
Signing off from another episode of Day Night Cricket.
This was a good one, man.
Yes, indeed. Very good and intriguing discussion. Hopefully, we get the others back on, and we can get some views, especially from the perspective of like Corbs, who would have played the game as well. It's always interesting to see his views as well. So until next time, this is Kwayne, I don't know what I am these days.
You said you were the guru, sir.
just the guru, I guess. signing off. And Kurt, the facts guru.
Aye.
You know, until next time, be safe, be good, wash your hands, sanitize, share, subscribe, like, and you know, drop us a line. Let us know how you enjoy the show. So until
All the
next
above.
time, exactly. Until next time, goodbye.
Blessings.